Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
As a people, we have become easily distracted and extremely impatient, and for proof, look at Valley sports fans. We are currently going gaga over one impressive victory from a 4-win football team, and we are getting extremely frustrated with the suddenly slogging Diamondbacks, a team that somehow backpedaled all the way to a World Series last year. But I get it. Few things are more unbecoming in sports than a team moonwalking to the finish line and the sight of the best offense in the game struggling to find a spark against the worst pitching staff in Major League Baseball inside of a boombox stadium at high altitude. Well, it's beyond maddening. Just like sitting down Ketel Marte while leaning on a couple of arms from Reno. So what's the deal here? Is this rut about to become rut-row? Are the Diamondbacks bored? Have they become adrenaline junkies? Or did they peak at the wrong time, left to crab stagger their way to the playoffs? Even worse, you'd have a hard time watching the Diamondbacks the last 2 nights in Denver and envisioning another run to the World Series, which is exactly the opposite of how I felt after those 2 games against the Rangers. But unfortunately, we haven't seen that team for a while now. And whatever is happening inside that clubhouse, the 2024 Diamondbacks better make the postseason party or the damage will be severe. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
And he swings and pops it up to short. That's going to do it as Tovar makes the catch. And after 2 games in this series, the Diamondbacks have been humbled by the Rockies. They have lost each of the first 2. They were walked off on Monday. Tonight, it was the offense and the stout pitching of Ryan Feltner that proved to be the difference. Your final score, Rockies 8, Diamondbacks 2.
That's Chris Garagiola on the final call on the D-backs radio network last night. Yeah, described it well. They've lost the first 2. They've scored a total of 4 runs in 2 games. 4 runs in 18 innings at Coors Field. That's not normally what visitors do there.
No.
And look, there's individuals that are struggling right now. We've talked so much about what Jock Peterson has meant to this team.
Mm-hmm.
Jock's a little lost at the plate right now. There was something you could count on in good times and in bad times up until this little stretch from Jock Peterson. That was he was going to give you a very quality at bat, not chasing pitches out of the zone. He started to do that. Here was Torey Lovello last night on Jock Peterson's recent struggles.
He spoils us. That's really what it comes down to. And when he has a little bit of hits a little bit of a speed bump, it's noticeable. But because we count on him and he's been so productive. But that's part of the game. It's hard to be as consistent as he's been all year long, and he'll find it. He's working his butt off to find it, and he'll get back at it.
Yeah, and I'm not pinning this on Jock Peterson. It just kind of a lifeless 2-day stay so far.
Yeah.
And you talked about what you saw in terms of visible vibe coming out of the dugout.
Didn't look great.
Wasn't a whole lot.
Didn't look great for a team that has been that has shown the ability to answer back. There just didn't seem to be a lot of belief on that field last night, and maybe it's the pressure. I wonder this. I don't know where I heard this, but I heard this yesterday, and after last night's game, kind of rings a little more true than I might have given it credit for, and that is, for a baseball team that has really exceeded everyone's expectations offensively, since they added that slug component and they became a team that could really mash the baseball, you wonder if they get that in the mind, if they're going out now looking to score 10 runs every time, to be that team that just puts crooked numbers and double digits up on the scoreboard. And that, again, as we talked about yesterday, there's a very clear path for the Diamondbacks to be a really good baseball team, and it takes patience. It takes offensive grind, and it's not about going up and just free swinging for the fences. I'm sure Jock Peterson's doing a little bit of that now. That might explain some of his struggles.
Yeah, a lot of first pitch hunting the last 2 days.
Yeah.
You hit on something interesting, and I brought it up yesterday. That appeared to me, and again, I don't know anything, and I don't know if it's true, if anybody would ever admit it, but going into, after scoring 11 runs on Sunday against the Brewers, in a very big win and a big spot to avoid that sweep and kind of wash away some of the stink of the first two games. I think they thought going to Colorado, maybe subconsciously they thought, wow, this is the easy patch of the schedule.
Yeah.
We're going to go there.
And
we're going
mash.
to do what we do. And it looked like they were getting out of their comfort zone on Monday night, and they scored 2 runs, and they lost a very frustrating game. I don't know if that carried over as much yesterday. I think yesterday was just a flat I mean, you got players, and it happens there, but on 2 different occasions, players lost the ball in the sky, couldn't track the ball. Corbin Carroll made a play, but there was a play to center field that he had to run all the way over from right field because Jake McCarthy couldn't see it. You'll excuse that. Pavin Smith dropping the ball. Extra base taken by a Colorado base runner just on a routine base hit. Eugenio Suarez not handling a play where Jose Herrera had a rare chance to throw out a base runner on the front end of a double steal. He can't handle the throw, takes the blame for it afterwards, but that led to another Colorado run. Just those little, and they're not even little things because they really came back to haunt them last night, but so uncharacteristic. And now they're in a situation again where they're trying to wash things away. And it was like we were talking about earlier in the year, Bick, salvaging one game. Or, sometimes it was going for a sweep and not being able to complete it, or salvaging one game out of a 3-game series. This is not where they wanted to be right now. The schedule gets really tough after this.
Is it discouraging that this late season sort of like back into the playoffs is happening 2 years in a row?
Yes, for me it is.
Or is it encouraging because we know that they were able to respond to it in the playoffs last year?
You can take a little of both, I think. However you want to view this, you can. The way I view it, though, is there was a time when I think it was Bob Nightingale who declared this a dangerous team and the best team in baseball, and if he had $1 million and he had to bet it on anybody, like me at the Red 18, he's putting it on the Diamondbacks.
That was right before the Mets-Dodgers stretch there.
And that was the stretch that started this whole lackluster run of baseball.
That's right. Then they had that 2-game series against the Rangers that I referenced in the Blast that seemed to kind of get the team back where we thought that they were going, and now they've kind of chunked off again. To me, I think everybody was beginning to vibe on this idea that this has been a very frustrating year. This year must be hell for Torey Lovello. The brush fires and the injuries and the guys that have had to been cuddled, everything that has gone into this has been a slog. But I think we all believed, all right, but you know what? Everyone's going to be healthy at the end, and this rotation's going to fire, and then we're going to hit home runs and steal bases, and we are going back to the World Series. I think we began to think and convince ourselves that this team has finally crossed the Rubicon. They have finally got it back.
It is bizarre.
It's bizarre.
They've gotten worse as they've gotten healthier.
That is true, too. Although, I mean, Lourdes Gurriel not being in the lineup right now is not ideal either.
Right, but, I mean, you finally get back Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Gabby Marino. Your rotation for the first time all year was set. Now
Nelson got hurt.
Right, but now and they've gotten worse when that happened. I don't understand it.
Look, it's very much in peril right now. Last year, again, was the reminder, just get into the postseason and then you can make some noise. But the thought, the concept of this team after the way they turned things around after July 1st, individually and as a team, but the thought of them not being in the postseason, that's unfathomable, and it's historically frustrating because the pattern for the Diamondbacks since they've been in existence is if you make a run, make the postseason, they try to bolster things, which they certainly did this offseason, the highest payroll they've ever had. But they fall on that follow-up year, they fall flat. And this team was not designed or built to do that.
That's
and
why
it's very much a possibility.
I agree. That's why I say the consequences are going to be severe if they don't. How could you ever trust this baseball team again? With all the commitment, the financial commitment, the team that they assembled, it was just 3 weeks ago raving about the depth of this team and all. If they don't make the tournament, there is going to be, like I said, a severe price to pay from a civic trust and a belief and all that stuff.
But how about the trust the owner has in the process? Kendrick, he was everybody every year spend. He spends, and it's not. There's no reward for it. What does that do to your as a mid-market
totally
team with financial issues?
Which is exactly why this, and I've been saying this since the end of last year. This team has to stack playoff berths. They have to build something that looks different than all the one-hit wonders of the years past.
It just sucks to lose trust in something where they didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. They did everything that they could do to win this year, and it's just not working.
I agree. I've seen criticism of Mike Hazen that he didn't add another right-handed power arm to the bullpen. I'm not buying it. I think from a commitment level, they did everything you could ask. Now, have they gotten their value on some of these players? Obviously not. But they have got to get this together because Pat Murphy and those Brewers, he's got that team playing with its hair on fire. Mm-hmm. And that 4-game series in Milwaukee, this is going to be, if they don't win today, they might cough up this lead.
And how about Murph just underselling what the Brewers were bringing to Arizona? We're not very good right now. And then they made life a living hell.
Listen, and don't think he isn't vibing on sticking it back to Arizona.
Oh yeah, definitely. Jerry, you made a bold prediction. What's your final score prediction for today in the series finale?
10-2.
10-2.
Diamondbacks win 10-2 today.
I thought the outburst was coming last night, and I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're right, I feel good about the 10. I don't feel good about the 2. I think it's going to be like 10-7, and it's going to be a real white knuckler too.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.